Hi there, Year 7. A Happy New Year to you all. Clearly, this is not quite the start to 2021 we had planned, but welcome back. If not in real life, but virtually, welcome back. I hope you've had a lovely break and you're all fired up and ready for learning. Now, I'm going to show you the slides that we're going to be working through today. So I'm just going to share the screen now to allow us to do that. So if I can get it right. Okay, so, right, you should be able to see this as we go through. Now, the way it works is you have 2 hours to work on maths. Let me just explain. So we have all morning. So you will register at 8:45. And then you will work on your maths until 11:15. And within that time, please do take a half an hour break or up to a half an hour break as you wish, just to break up the learning. You need your classwork book. You're going to be doing all of your work in your classwork book, and you're going to be doing it exactly as if you're in the classroom. So I want dates, I want titles, I want margins, I want them underlined with a ruler. I want you to write the question as well as the answer. I want you to be marking your work with a green pen and making any corrections as necessary, making notes, putting those key points in boxes, putting any particular things that you want to note down, making sure that they're clearly highlighted with your highlighter pens or however you want to make them stand out. Okay. At 11:15, you need to take a photo of the work that you've completed and upload it onto Google Classroom. In addition to that, you will also be doing some tasks on Hegarty Maths. So I'll talk you through those as well. And I'll be available through Google Classroom. So if you have any questions, obviously, you can ping me a message there. Okay, let's get started. So here is your starter. You are going to have 5 minutes to work through this. So I need you to pause the video now, and you've got 5 minutes to work through this. A little bit of a top tip, just as you're getting started. First thing I would do is sketch it out in your books. Secondly, see if you can remember what the internal angles of a triangle add up to. And then thirdly, you're looking at forming and solving an equation. Good luck. Please pause it now. Okay, Year 7. I'm going to reveal the answer now. Hopefully those little tips helped. So the internal angles of a triangle sum to 180 degrees. So we know that the 3 angles indicated also sum to 180 degrees. Let's take a look. Let's not take a look. Why won't it let me do that? Okay, so we know that 180 degrees equals 3x plus 2x plus x plus 30. We now need to simplify the equation by collecting like terms. So the 3x, the 2x, and the x all sum together to give me 6x. So I have 180 degrees equals 6x plus 30. Now that I've collected my like terms, I can look at using my balancing method to solve the equation. The first thing I want to do is to get the 30 and the 180 together. So I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. Remember, what I do to one side, I need to do to the other to keep my scales balanced. So 150 equals 6x. My final step is to work out what 1x is. So I know what 6x is, but I want to know what 1x is. So I need to divide both sides by 6 so that x equals 25 or 25 equals x. Okay, there are 2 questions here for you to take a look at. Again, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to look. You probably don't need 5 minutes. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, I'm going to give you the solution now. So please make sure you've spent enough time going through this. You should be approximately 10 minutes into the lesson now. Okay, so let's have a look. There are many different ways we can look at this. And you'll have to excuse my scribbles because I didn't have time to put my flower heads on all of my flowers here. So you can see that I've drawn out 20 stalks. I've not quite had time to put the 20 flower heads on them. And I know that I'm looking for 3/4 of them. There's 1/4, okay, and another quarter, and another quarter, and another quarter. So the circled section here represents my 3/4. Let's look at how we would do that mathematically. We're looking for 3/4 of 20. So 3/4 multiplied by 20. We write the 20 as 20 over 1, just to make sure we don't make a mistake. And there's another video that will explain that further. That gives us 15 pink roses. Second question, a girl has £45. She uses 2/9 of it to buy a calculator. Okay, so again, you can do, if you look at the green writing, 2/9 multiplied by 45 over 1 to give 90 divided by 9, which is £10. But if you look at the blue writing, you can see that you can do 45 divided by 9. That gives you 1/9. And then you multiply that by 2 to give you the 2/9. Okay, just remember those green pens to mark and correct your work as we go through. Okay, now I have uploaded another video which just gives you about a 10-minute explanation of multiplication of fractions. The resolution on it is not great, I have to say, so I'm going to show it you using QuickTime here, so bear with me. I say that, but it's not there. Bear with me while I just find it. Okay, so this is going to play for about 11 minutes. Hi there. In this session, we're going to be looking at multiplication of fractions. We're going to start with a fraction of an amount. Now, what I'd like you to do is please copy this down in your books as we go through it, exactly as you hear it in the video. So you've got a really good set of notes explaining the different types of multiplication of fractions we're going to come across. So the first one we're going to look at, fraction of amount. First question is we have 1/5 of 20. Now we can replace that of with a multiplication sign. We can write that, therefore, as 1/5 multiplied by 20. But when we write the 20, we're going to write it as 20 over 1. That's because we don't want to accidentally multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 20. Then we'd just be left with an equivalent fraction. Okay, so let's have a look. If we multiply the numerators together, one lot of 20 gives us 20. We multiply our denominators together, 5 multiplied by 1 gives us 5. I can simplify that. 5 goes into 20 4 times, so therefore my answer is 4. Let's look at that a different way. If we go back to this here, I could write that as 1 multiplied by 20 over 5 multiplied by 1. We know that 1 lot of 20 is simply 20, and 5 lots of 1 is 5. Again, that's going to give us an answer of 4. Let's look at what we've got here. We've got 20 divided by 5. We can write that as 20 divided by 5. Okay, so it's always important to understand the maths behind what we're actually doing, not just automatically say, oh, we multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators. Maybe we can also see what that looks like if I draw a rectangle that represents 20 squares. So I've drawn, doesn't matter what size, I've happened to draw mine 5 squares by 4 squares, which gives me 20. And I want 1/5 of these 20 squares, 1/5 of them. So I need to divide this into fifths. So let's see what happens if I do that. Divide it into fifths. 1/5 of 20. So 1 of my fifths I can shade like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have shaded 4 squares. 4 squares. So I know I've got the right answer. Let's just make it a little bit harder. This time, let's, instead of 1/5, let's have 3/5 of 20. Again, I'm going to write that as 3 divided by 5 multiplied by 20 over 1. I can multiply my numerators together to give me 60, my denominators together to give me 5, and that gives me 12. Okay, it's worth just introducing a concept here called cross-cancelling. Some of you might like this, some people don't. You do not have to use cross-cancelling. It makes the math simpler, but if it's a little bit confusing, then you just do exactly what we've done here, multiplying the numerators and the denominators together. So let's have a look. We have 3/5 multiplied by 20 over 1. We look at the diagonals here, and we have a look and see if 5 is a factor of 20, or if 1 is a factor of 3, or vice versa. In this case, we can see that 5 is a factor of 20 because 5 multiplied by 4 gives us 20. So I can divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. 20 divided by 5 gives me 4. And now I do the same again. I multiply out my numerators. 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. Got the same answer of 12. Okay, up to you if you want to look at using that option. Okay, let's move on. So I want to look at multiplication of a fraction by a fraction. So we've got a new heading there. And for those of you that I teach, you know how fastidious I am, underlining using a ruler, margins, etc. Okay, so question 3. We have 5/7. We're multiplying it by 7 over 10. Okay. Very similar to before, except we're not multiplying by a whole number, we're now multiplying by another fraction. We can multiply our numerators together. 5 multiplied by 7 gives me 35. 7 multiplied by 10 gives me 70. Now, some of you might see straight away what that can be simplified down to. But if you're not clear, we could maybe say that they're both in the 5 times table. So we can divide them both by 5. That's going to give me 7 as my numerator and 14 as my denominator. And now we might see that they're both in the 7 times table, and therefore I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 7. 7 divided by 7 gives me 1. 14 divided by 7 gives me 2. We've simplified down to 1/2. Now you might have seen here that 35 is a factor of 70, in which case you can divide by 35 and fast forward straight to 1/2 as the answer. All right, you still see that okay? Back to that cross-cancelling again. Again, entirely optional, but this is quite a nice example of where it makes it easy, because if I can see I've got a 7 here and a 7 here, if I divide by 7, that just takes me down to 1. I've got a 5 here and a 10 here. Divide 5 by 5 to get 1. Divide 10 by 5 to get 2. And I've got 1/2. All right, nice simple way to get straight to that answer of 1/2. Finally, let's look at mixed number multiplication. If there's going to be an error, this is the most likely place where people may make a mistake, and I'll explain why in a moment. So we've got mixed number multiplication. Right, I'm just going to pause it there very quickly because unfortunately it's a little bit difficult to read. So after the explanation is finished, I'm just going to put this up for you in case you can't read it there, so you can copy it down. So we're looking at question 4. We have 1 3/4, and we are multiplying it by 2 1/2. The key here, and we're going to write it down in a little bubble so that you've got it as a key learning point. Always convert mixed numbers into improper fractions before multiplying. Really important that we remember that. Always convert mixed numbers into improper fractions before multiplying. Okay, we've done improper fractions to mixed number conversion before. So 1 multiplied by 4 is 4, add 3 gives me 7/4. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, add 1 is 5. Okay, and now I'm back to this simple case of just multiplying the numerators and the denominators together. So I've got 7 multiplied by 5 gives me 35. 4 multiplied by 2 gives me 8. I now want to see how many times 8 goes into 35. It is 4, remainder 3. So my answer is 4 3/8. The most common mistake that people will make is they will multiply the whole numbers together. 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. And then they'll multiply the fraction element together. 3/4 multiplied by 1/2 is going to give me 3/8. And then they'll add them together and get an answer of 2 3/8, which you can see is approximately half of the correct answer, which is 4 3/8. So it's a really good idea when you're doing things like mixed number multiplication, just to approximate what you think the answer is going to be. And if we say that 1 3/4 is nearly 2, and 2 1/2, well, that's just a bit bigger than 2, then I'm going to expect my answer to be approximately 2 multiplied by 2. It's going to be about 4. Might be a bit more, it might be a bit less, but it's going to be about 4. And indeed it is 4 3/8. Thank you very much. Hi there. Okay. So as I said, it wasn't perfect. So I'm just going to show you this. Hopefully you can see. Now, I think the first page you could see all right, but obviously if you need to copy anything else down, just pause it. And then this is the page, I believe, that was a little bit harder to see. So if I hold that up, then you can copy down anything that you're missing. Okay, let's keep going. So let's go back to screen sharing. Okay. Right, so just to recap, we know now that 2/3 of 3/4 is exactly the same as, if we were in a classroom, you would be answering me, exactly the same as 2/3 multiplied by 3/4. What does it look like? Maybe we can draw it. Let's have a go. Okay, so there's 3/4. That's fairly straightforward, isn't it? My rectangle is being cut into 4 quarters, 4 equal parts, and 3 of them are shaded. That gives me 3/4. But the question is 2/3 of 3/4. So if I split my rectangle horizontally into thirds, then you can see that 2/3 of 3/4 is represented by the 6 yellow shaded squares. So 6 out of a total of 12 are shaded. If we do that calculation by multiplying the numerators and multiplying the denominators, we get 6 out of 12, which can simplify down to 1/2. At any point, please feel free to pause this so you can copy down anything further you need. Okay, so as we've already said, we can just multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators together when multiplying fractions. There's one for you to try now. Please pause it and have a go. Okay, multiplying the numerators gives us 15. Multiplying the denominators gives us 60, which simplifies down to 1/4. Now the question is there another way? We talked on the video earlier about cross-cancelling. Let's have a look at it again. Now, if you look at the green writing and the blue writing, you'll see that because 3 is a factor of 6, you can divide 3 by 3 to give you 1 and 6 by 3 to give you 2. Similarly, because 5 is a factor of 10, then you can divide 5 by 5 to get 1, and 10 divided by 5 gives you 2. The answer being 1/4. Now, all of this is for your reference purposes. Now, most of it you should have through doing the video, but please feel free to copy down anything further you need. Again, pause when you want to copy things down. So there's this first one, a second one, just helping us with cross-cancelling. And just a reminder about how we convert a mixed number into an improper fraction before we do the multiplication calculation. Okay. Have a go at this question. See if you can do it by cross-cancelling. Pause if you need more time. You can see that 4 is a factor of 12, so you can divide both 4 and 12 by 4, which gives you 1 and 3. The fraction is 5/21. Again, we've looked at this on the video. What do you need to do first and why? Have a go at this one. Okay, pause if you need more time. Now, I mentioned this briefly on the video. So if you look at the left-hand side where it says this is wrong, this is what I mentioned as the single most common wrong answer, simply multiplying the two whole numbers together and multiplying the two fractions together and then putting them together to get 12 3/4. Okay. You know that you need to convert to improper fractions. You know that if you do that, you're going to end up in this case, ideally with a bit of cross cancelling along the way, 31 divided by 2, which is 15.5. The reason that I've written the box in yellow is to illustrate what's missing if you just multiply the whole numbers and just multiply the fractions together. You fail to take account of 4 lots of a half, which is 2, that blue 2, and 3 multiplied by 3/7, which gives you 9/7. So you're too small by 3 2/7. I hope that makes sense. It's obviously much easier to explain in the classroom. Again, pause it if you need more time to write that down. So now you're going to work on 2 Hegarty Maths videos. That's going to take you up until the break. So you've got 20 minutes allocated to videos 67 and 68. They're both on multiplication of fractions. You do not need to watch the videos unless you want to, and you do not need to make notes from the Hegarty Maths videos. All the notes that you need, you will have taken by watching these slides. Okay, so you've got 2 quizzes. The reason I've given you 20 minutes is because some of them are quite challenging. You might want to write them down in your books. You're not going to be able to do them all in your head. And also because we are aiming, remember we had our 100% challenge before Christmas. We're aiming for 100%. So if you don't get 100% the first time or the second time, have another go. I want you to attempt it at least 3 times if you don't get 100% the first time. Okay, so you've got 20 minutes for that. And then pause this, move over to Hegarty Maths, and then after your break, we'll be doing some more. Okay, welcome back after your break. You hopefully have about 1 hour remaining. I hope you've had a good break. I hope you're ready for round 2. Okay, we're going to do a quick algebra flashback. You have 5 minutes to look at these questions. They're really quite challenging, particularly if your algebra is a bit rusty. So you might only get through 2 or 3 of the questions. Don't worry, you just do your best. And I'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Okay, you still have about 3 minutes remaining. Please continue to work through. Remember to pause the video so that you can spend enough time on each of these. But I'm going to put up some of the answers now. Okay, so firstly, question 1. Remember, we are collecting like terms. The a squared is our like term. So I have 2a squared in one hand. I have 3a squared in the other hand. I put them together. That gives me 5a squared. Question 2. I've rearranged it to start with. So I've written it as 2 multiplied by 11 multiplied by m multiplied by m multiplied by m. You don't have to expand that m squared, but I just thought it was helpful to show you visually what's happening. Okay, now it looks a little bit easier, and we can do that because we know that multiplication is commutative, so we can change the order. 2 multiplied by 11 gives me 22. And m multiplied by m multiplied by m is m cubed. So we have 22m cubed. Question 3, you can see I've used different colors to circle the like terms. We have a positive 4a and a negative 6a. So we put all that together and we've got a negative 2a. We've got a negative 6b and a positive 4b. Put that together. That gives us negative 4b. And remember, you can use a number line to help you with your negative numbers as well. Okay, question 4. Let's look at what we can simplify. We know that 20 divided by 5 gives us 4. A divided by A, well, that's just 1. So that cancels out. And then we're left with a B. So the answer is 4B. I'm not going to go through the other questions because I'm not sure if you will have had time, but I will just show the answers now. If you did get a chance to do them, please pause this and you can mark them now. But they are really quite challenging. So if you didn't get onto them, please do not worry. Okay, here's a worded problem for you, and I've drawn it out to help. So a car travels 15.75 kilometers. That's the distance that the car has traveled. Of that 15.75 kilometers, some of it, in fact 5/7 of it, is on a motorway. So this is the total, and this is the bit that's on the motorway. Okay, the total is 15.75, and the portion that we're looking at is 5/7 of 15.75. So we can write that mathematically now, knowing that we can replace of with a multiplication sign. Sometimes it's helpful to draw it out. In this case, I've just drawn it as a line to represent the distance, which is 15.75 kilometers, and then showing what 5/7 approximately looks like. It's not drawn to scale, but it's just representative. Sorry, can you excuse me a second? I seem to have a missed call for some reason. Okay, apologies for that. So it's a multiplication calculation, and 15.75 I need to convert into an improper fraction. And then I can do a bit of cross cancelling if I'm comfortable doing that. And then I can multiply it out. It gives me 45 divided by 4. So my answer is 11.25 kilometers. Okay, let's see if you can have a go at this one. Again, if it helps, have a go at drawing it out. Right, you'll probably need to pause this so you can have a little bit more time on it. Okay, so again, it's a fraction of an amount. It's 6/11 of 18 and 1/3. Again, perhaps drawing it is going to help us. It's not a particularly good drawing, but it works. Okay, here is my living room floor. It's a rectangle. It's a wonky rectangle. The area, the total area is 18 and 1/3. And I want the area of the carpet, which is 6/11 of that. So I know therefore that I'm doing 6/11 of 18 and 1/3. I turn my 18 and 1/3 into an improper fraction. I do some simplifying by cross cancelling, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and I get 10 meters squared. Pause the video, make a note of anything that you've missed so that you've got a really nice worked example in your book. Okay, so now it's time to do another Hegarty Maths video. You're going to do video number 69. It's your third video on multiplying fractions, and you are going to have a little bit of a go and be a bit brave having a go with your cross cancelling on these questions. Otherwise, you're going to find them a little bit too challenging. So you've got 15 minutes. Remember, you can attempt it up to 3 times. You don't need to watch the video. You don't need to take notes, but you might find it helpful to write the questions from the quiz in your book. Okay, 15 minutes on that. And then with any time that you have left, there are going to be some questions that I'm going to put up now. Okay, so remember, really, really importantly, you need to take photos of your completed work and upload it onto Google Classroom. Please do that at 11:15. And I will go through and respond to any questions that you have at that point. If you still have time remaining, then you're going to see some further questions and some solutions. And remember, these PowerPoint slides I will be putting on Google Classroom as well, so you can look at the slides independently without watching this video again. So a column of these questions. Pause the video, have a go. I'm now going to put the answers up. Oops, you can't see all the answers. Hold on. Okay. Now, if by any chance you've managed to get any further, which is astonishing, but if you have, that's great. There are some more questions here. Pause if you're working on them. A worked solution for questions 10 and 12. Again, pause it to go through. And then just the, seriously, and then just the answers for questions 8 to 14. That's it. I hope that worked well. And I can't wait till I get to teach you in real life, but I hope that's been helpful. Good luck. Don't forget to upload all your work at 11:15, and I will see you for our next lesson. Take care.